Good day to all of you guys. Let's get it started. So, what just happened? It's hard to believe that it's been 6 months we're dealing with this COVID pandemic and its aftermath on the economy. A lot of industries were impacted. I don't really need to repeat what you already know and you see on the news. We are bombarded with all the bad news. And we see a lot of retailers, F&B, hospitality, and some of other industries are impacted massively. But this is calling for a massive change in the way we are doing business. And change is hard, change is difficult, change is costly, and probably nobody likes change, but it's inevitable and we have to do it. We can look at the change from the perspective of, negativity, pressure, cost, and all of that, or we can look at it from a perspective where there's opportunity. But where is the opportunity? The opportunity that we have right now is that our competition is in this game with us. So everybody's under the same pressure. And there are areas that are opening up and we can innovate in those areas. Fine, it is a forced innovation. We were not ready for this, at least at this level. All of us are innovating on a daily basis. We strategize for the next month, next year, but this one was forced. However, again, the choice is ours. This is a forced innovation, but is it still innovation? So let's embrace it and see what opportunities are lying ahead and how we can differentiate. The focus of today is e-commerce. And e-commerce is kind of a now or never conversation. A lot of organizations, larger ones, because they either had the infrastructure or they had the plans, they're already ahead of us. And now it's up to us. If we are running a smaller organizations, if our operation is massively impacted by the whole pandemic and lockdown, we have to push as much as possible to the online space, especially for retail. E-commerce is now, it's not the future, it is the present time. And now we have to put it on a higher gear and push it forward faster. Let's have a look at some stats and quickly move on to the next step. So this chart, this global map, is almost 2 weeks or 1 week old. It shows the growth in the number of payments, online payment processing. And majority of it, if not all, comes from e-commerce transactions. You can see the North America, the green is actually showing closer to 100% growth. North America, Northern Europe, Eastern, Western Europe, they're doing great. Some countries in South America, Australia, and coming back to our region, we can see Saudi Arabia and UAE are on top of the Middle East. And then we have South Africa, Egypt, and then probably that is Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. They are doing relatively better. There is some growth, and Nigeria is actually showing some drop in the past few weeks. The rest of Africa, it's gray. Probably there's no data there. But the point here is that globally, we see a massive increase in e-commerce transactions. It sounds obvious, but the lesson we need to take is that the competition is doing better than us. A bit more drilling down into numbers. 22% of the population of the earth today are shopping online. It is expected that by next year, we're going to have 50% of all retail transactions to be online. This is massive. It was half of this a couple of years ago. And this COVID situation is actually increasing that. It's boosting that. E-commerce is going to reach $5 trillion by 2021 or 2022, but I expect it's going to be next year. Fun fact, men spend more time shopping online than women. I didn't know that, and I don't know why, but apparently we do. Gen X, my age group, we are the largest group of online shoppers, it seems. And majority of people rely on online reviews. This is also an important factor to consider when you're setting your online store, to have that review facilities up there, to keep an eye on who's reviewing your products and your services, and make sure that you end up with a lot of happy customers. 70% of customers abandon the shopping cart in the middle. I do that. I know that I do it for a fact. And it's interesting. I mean, this is very similar to the behavior we show when we go to shopping malls. A lot of times we go to shopping malls and do just window shopping. We go and shop, we spend some time, probably waste the retailer's time, and we come out without buying anything. That's a similar behavior. And there are technologies and methodologies to reduce that. That's another area of focus you got to actually pay attention to. Social media plays a massive role, 32% more sales for retailers and stores who have a good focus and strategy on social media. Coming to Middle East, we see that 17.5% of the retail sales will be e-commerce in a year. This is a lot because if you looked at Middle East 5 years ago, e-commerce practically did not exist. We had Souk.com, which is acquired by Amazon.com, and a couple of other small players. A lot of entrepreneurs and SMEs did not have such strategy or tools. So this is growing. And again, I'm going to focus on that opportunity. I'm going to stress on the opportunity part of this. It's going to reach 26 billion in the Middle East, 11 billion in GCC, and only 4.5 billion in UAE. This is a lot of money, and we need to take a piece of that. Looking at Africa, we see an untapped market, massively underutilized, but there are also challenges. This chart shows the global average of a person, a global citizen, spending time on, spending money online, $500 per year. We come to South Africa, $100, and we go down to $40 in Morocco. Yes, there are currency fluctuations, affordability, and other factors to consider. So I'm not going to be able to compare the buying power in US or Sweden with any other country for that matter. But still, we see that it's an untapped opportunity. Mobile e-commerce is very important. We know we have around 400 million people in Africa that use internet. And Africa is uniquely mobile driven. Probably it's the only continent. It's a kind of a mobile first continent. And that opportunity is underutilized. On the other hand, we have challenges in Africa, like some countries, the postal system is not that strong. The postal addresses are not that clear. Logistics is an issue in rural areas. Currency fluctuation and other matters. Still, there's a lot of opportunity, and we see in developing in leading countries in Africa like South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, internet infrastructure is massively better in the past 2 to 3 years. So again, opportunity is being created there. So these are the stats. You can find these things online. I just put them together to make my point across. I'm going to leave you with a couple of pointers. This is our 2 cents. What we tried and worked. We sell our software online, so we heavily rely on e-commerce. Our clients do that. Our partners do that. And we know a lot of small and medium enterprises who rely on e-commerce. These are some of their learnings. Before technology, what you need, a successful recipe for the great result is to have a vision, a clear strategy, an agile plan. It sounds obvious, but you need to know. I heard in the poll that some people don't have a strategy. Wonderful. They came to the conclusion of not having a e-commerce strategy. No problem. Not everybody needs that. But if you do, you need to have a clear strategy about it. Then what I mean by agile planning, I give Zoho as an example. We had a lot of plans for 2020 back in 2019. Product launches, events, conferences, and a lot of other online, events and stuff. Things changed in January. We did not know COVID will hit, but we were agile enough. We were quick enough to pivot or fine-tune or re-strategize some of the things that we did. And, so far, so good. So you have to have an agile plan. Marketing is before everything. Before you set up that website, before you go out to the world and say, I have an e-commerce business, you have to start with the marketing before you even decide what product you want to sell. Because first you have to ask the market if they need your service, if they need your product. If you can't sell what you were selling in your shop online, if you're selling fragrances that are not known to people, people need to come and smell them. So maybe you have to still stick to retail or come up with the strategies like Warby Parker. I recommend you have a look at Warby Parker, the glasses company, and their strategy of online. and you have to re-strategize the way you sell online. So marketing is quite important. Of course, you need products that sell, people need, the competition is fierce. Then you have to have proper support. You have automated solution like chat boxes. You can outsource the whole support fleet, but whatever you do, make sure the support is properly there. Day one, you might have 2 customers, but day 5, you might have 500 and you might not be ready. So make sure you're planning ahead for support as well. Airtight sales funnel. Understand how your sales funnel works and how you're going to close that sales funnel. Shopping cart abandonment. All of these are strategies that you need to learn before you go online. Logistics is another important thing. I've seen e-commerce companies who had everything perfectly figured out, but they could not ship on time, or they promised that they're going to ship to a destination, but they couldn't, or they relied on suppliers who could not supply them in time. All of this leads into customer dissatisfaction and those negative reviews or returns and refunds that, it's just a waste of time. Of course, you will need reliable technology, and that's why we are here today. So let's also have a look at some of the best practices, learning from the best and the worst. What is that? That is, okay, the best practices are out there, but you also do online shopping. Remember the things you loved about an online shopping experience when the store recommended you something that you really not liked, like a nice pairing. If you're buying a decanter, maybe a pairing glasses with that, or the experiences you didn't like. It was too obtrusive. It was too in your face, or the website was hard to use. You had to click or tap on small buttons. So learning from, the market, the competition also is very important. On a high level, first decision when you come to choosing your platform is, do I need to start everything from scratch, my own platform, set up everything, hire a third party and do everything from scratch, you spend a lot of money and time. This is a risky move. You own everything, but this is a risky move, especially if you don't have any experience, if you have never started. So a lot of times relying on a third-party platform is the way to go. Zoho Commerce is one of those leading platforms. Cash flow is very important. Again, this is an accounting conversation, but we see a lot of times that we rely on, we're going to have this much sales, so let's buy stuff on credit, either the material or supplies or anything, and then this does not match. A lot of companies have sales, have revenues, have positive turnover, but they have cash flow problem. And when you go online, this is another thing. Your capacity has to be very flexible, because it's not like your shop that you could have 20 to 100 visitors a day. This is just a retail shop. It depends on the size of your store. This is online. You can have 10,000 buyers a day just by accident, close to Christmas, close to a holiday. So you got to be ready about that. Pricing is very important. We talked about logistics is super important. Marketing without interrupting. What I mean, marketing has to be with permission. It has to be in a way that does not bother the customer. I highly recommend, if you don't know Seth Godin, follow him on Twitter, read his books, attend his workshops. He is the godfather of permission marketing, and he has a lot to say. You can look at Social Media Examiner. You can follow Neil Patel and learn about the best ways of online marketing. Mobile first strategy. You're expecting 50% or more of online transactions to be actually done through mobile. We make sure your online store is mobile friendly. It's not heavy. It's responsive, and the buttons are tappable, and so on and so forth. Works with Apple Pay, with Samsung Pay, with Google Pay, stuff like that. Form and function. It has to be statistically beautiful, minimal, usable, so user experience is optimal, and also has all the necessary functions. I don't want to click on 10 different things to be able to go to my shopping cart. I want to shop like this in one go. Another thing is personalized, voice-based, AI-based, social-based selling. These are the new trends. Look at this. This is something's coming up this year and next year. Make sure your online store is compatible with all of these things. And listen to social media, analyze the analytics, look at the data that is coming towards you and optimize accordingly. Sometimes we want to sell what we want to sell. What if the market doesn't want it? What if the market wants something else? So let's learn from the market, because the ultimate goal is to sell, is to increase the revenue and delight the customer. Tools like Zoho Commerce come with all the tools that you need to be able to do every single point that I mentioned here. So there is no shortage of technology, but let's focus on the basics before we move to the technology. It's really hard to move from one platform to another platform in the middle of your up and running operation. A technology comes second, and it has to make sure that it's automating your entire process or a big portion of your process. You can very easily, with tools like Zoho Sales IQ, automate the first level of support and lead generation. Put a chat box on your website and let people communicate. Closing the loop is very important. It's not just your store. You have to focus on marketing, sales, and support. Intelligence with analysis that you receive, with the analytics that you get, and crunching data and looking at the behavior of your customer, the performance of sales, and so on and so forth. It will lead actually your strategy in the future. Sealing the leaks and optimizing. If an image is big, you're going to optimize it. If a product is not selling, you're going to optimize it, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, it's about delighting the customer. If you manage to delight the customer, they will come back, they will buy more, they will advocate for your product, and that all translates into better sales. Wonderful. It's your turn now to go out and set up your e-commerce website, set up your store, and we cannot wait to see it. Let us know. As soon as you set something up, let us know. If you need help, let us know. If you want us to promote it for you, and we'll do it. Thank you so much for your time.